The first vibration reached Aaron as he stepped onto the cracked earth. A faint tremor, a pulse beneath his boots. Almost like a heartbeat buried under the soil. He froze. The fields had been silent for months. The drought had turned every patch of land into a skeleton of dust and stone. No wind, no insects, no signs of life, yet something was moving beneath him. Aaron knelt down. He pressed his palm to the surface. The ground felt warm, too warm for early morning. A strange warmth that did not belong to the sun. Another sound rose, a slow, dragging echo, like something heavy shifting in the deep. A low hum threaded through the vibration. Not natural, not comforting, a sound that made the back of his neck stiffen. He pulled his hand away. The warmth lingered on his skin. The dust clung to his fingers like ash. Aaron looked toward the village. The houses stood silent, half swallowed by the dryness. No one had spoken of underground sounds. No one had mentioned movement below the fields. People avoided talking about anything strange. Fear had become another part of the drought. The echo rose again, longer this time, clearer, almost like a cry. Aaron felt a cold line run down his spine. The sound did not match any creature he knew. It carried a tone that felt too human, too desperate. He stepped farther into the field. Each step sank deeper into dust that should have been dry. But it was softer here, almost damp. The contrast unsettled him. Dryness everywhere else, moisture only where the sound came from. As if something below needed water. As if something below was breathing. Aaron crouched again. The hum vibrated through the soles of his shoes. He closed his eyes. The sound grew sharper. A whisper threaded through it. Not words, not language, but intent, calling upward, calling someone closer. Aaron's chest tightened. He felt the pressure of the sound inside his ribs. Like a warning, like a plea. The ground gave a small shift under him. A ripple, a soft collapsing sensation. The soil sagged slightly as if a hollow space lay just beneath the fragile crust. Aaron stood slowly. His heart thumped louder than the echo. He scanned the field. No animals, no shadows, only the wavering heat and the uneasy silence. The echo returned, this time sharper, closer. It rose from directly beneath his feet. The earth pushed upward. A bulge formed under the dust. A mound widening, growing. Something underneath forcing itself toward the surface. Aaron stumbled back. His breath caught in his chest. The shape beneath the soil pulsed once. Twice. A rhythm like knocking from inside a sealed room. The sound deepened. A long, hollow moan slipped through the cracks. The dust above the mound began to split. A thin line. A jagged opening. Warm air escaped from within. Moist. Thick. Carrying a smell like rust and whetstone. Aaron watched the crack widen. His skin prickled. His throat tightened. The underground sound grew louder, rising into a clear, steady resonance. A voice. Not human. Not animal. A voice shaped by earth and darkness. Calling him by name. He took one step back. Then another. But the ground behind him shifted as well. The vibrations spread outward. The whole field began to tremble. Aaron felt the air thicken. The soil pulsed again beneath the cracked surface. The echo grew so intense he felt it inside his bones. Then the voice from underground spoke once more. Clearer, closer, and this time, it sounded like something that knew him. Aaron's breath thinned in his chest as the sound beneath the earth shaped itself again. A slow rise, a drawn-out vibration, a tone that felt too deliberate to be an accident of nature. He stared at the widening crack. Warm air pulsed through it, brushing against his legs like the breath of a hidden creature. The rust and stone scent thickened. His eyes watered. A faint shimmer rolled across the soil, as if something alive pressed against the underside. The voice rose again. It echoed through the hollow beneath him. A low, trembling call. The syllables bent and stretched, forming a shape close to his name. Too close. Close enough to twist fear into his spine. Aaron stepped back until his heel struck a hard ridge of dried soil. His heartbeat hammered inside his ribs. His palms felt damp despite the arid air around him. The village behind him remained silent. No windows opened. No footsteps approached. The drought had drained sound from every home, leaving a stillness that felt unnatural. The crack widened. Dust fell inward. A darker space showed below. A hollow tunnel. A chamber carved by something that did not belong in these fields. Aaron leaned forward despite every instinct telling him to run. The air around the crack swirled in weak spirals. A faint glow pulsed in the darkness below. Not bright, not warm, a cold, pale shimmer like moonlight trapped underground. The voice rose a third time. It echoed upward through the opening. This time the sound curved around him, circling like a cold hand brushing his shoulders. Aaron's skin tightened. His breath stuttered. He whispered into the stillness. "Who is there?" The sound beneath the field answered him. Not in words, but in a long, rising hum that carried a chilling clarity. The tone held recognition. It held intent. It held memory. The ground trembled again. The vibrations moved outward in spreading ripples. Tiny cracks splintered across the dry soil. Pebbles jumped. Dust danced. The entire field felt like a breathing organism struggling to wake from a deep slumber. Aaron steadied himself. Another pulse surged upward. The glow intensified. The shimmering light flickered like something pushing against a thin boundary. His throat tightened with a mixture of dread and curiosity. He crouched closer to the opening. The warm air rising from the crack carried faint traces of moisture. A scent of deep clay. A scent of trapped rainfall that never reached the surface. Aaron blinked. Rainfall. The idea struck him sharply. These fields had been dry for months. No storms. No clouds. No dew. Yet the chamber below breathed moisture. He pressed his hand near the crack. A drop of condensation touched his fingertips. Cold. Fresh. Impossible. The voice rose again, this time in a slow cadence. A pattern. A rhythm. Not random sound, but a structured call. Aaron's chest tightened. The voice was no longer just sound. It carried meaning. It carried urgency. It carried a warning wrapped inside a plea. The earth he knelt upon trembled again. More soil fell inward. The hollow below widened, an opening large enough to reveal a deeper chamber. He leaned over the edge. The pale glow illuminated swirling patterns etched into the walls beneath. Lines carved in spirals. Symbols that looked older than the village. Older than the drought. Older than anyone living could remember. Aaron felt a pressure in his temples as he stared. His pulse quickened. His breath quivered. The symbols appeared to move. Not shifting like light. Not flickering like shadows. But pulsing. Alive. Responding to him. His vision blurred for a moment. When it cleared, new shapes appeared in the glowing chamber. Thin streams of water trickled through narrow channels. Water. Real water. Hidden beneath the land that had been dry for so long. Aaron's mouth went dry despite the moisture rising from below. His mind raced. This was the source the elders whispered about in half-forgotten stories. The underground springs that fed the valley generations ago. The hidden lifeline that sustained fields during ancient droughts. But the stories always ended with warnings. Warnings about a sound beneath the earth. A sound that signaled the springs were awakening. A sound that came before something else emerged. Aaron remembered the stories suddenly. Stories told softly. Stories spoken only in winter. Stories about what guarded the hidden water. A shadow moved in the pale glow below. Aaron's breath caught. He held perfectly still. The vibration beneath him changed, shifting into a slower rhythm. The tone of the voice deepened. It resonated through the chamber like a stone dropped into a silent pool. The shadow elongated, lifted, moved again. A shape formed in the dim light. Not clear, not fully seen, but unmistakably alive. Aaron felt the weight of its presence rise toward him. The glow brightened, throwing faint outlines against the chamber walls. The shape had limbs, smooth movements, a posture that resembled something human yet not human at all. The voice rose with the shape. Stronger now, resonant, calling upward with intention that burrowed straight into Aaron's spine. The ground around the crack shivered. More soil fell away. The opening widened further. The shimmering light spilled onto Aaron's boots. He stepped back instinctively, but the voice followed him. Its tone wrapped around him like a thread pulling him closer. He felt the air shift. The shape below lifted an arm. Slow, deliberate, purposeful. Its fingers curled toward him. Inviting, summoning, warning. Aaron stumbled back one step. Then another. But the voice rose again. Clear, sharp, focused entirely on him. The soil beneath his feet cracked. A deeper tremor shook the field. The vibrations swelled into a tether pulling him toward the opening. The shimmering light flared upward. And the figure beneath the earth began to rise. The figure continued to rise from the glowing chamber, but it stopped just below the surface, as if held back by the last thin layer of earth. Aaron stood motionless. The air throbbed with the sound of the underground voice, but now the tone had shifted. It carried less urgency, less despair, more clarity. A second light shimmered within the chamber. It flowed along the carved patterns in the stone walls, moving like streams of pale water seeking their path. The glow spread upward, illuminating the cracks across the field. Each fracture pulsed with quiet light, as though the entire valley was waking after a long sleep. Aaron felt a warmth rise through the soles of his feet. Not dangerous, not burning, a gentle warmth, like the early touch of a summer rain. The voice below softened, its resonance smoothed into a calm, steady rhythm. The vibrations no longer shook the ground. They guided it, strengthened it, holding the fragile field together instead of pulling it apart. Aaron knelt again, slowly this time. The crack no longer widened. Instead, the soil settled around the opening with a quiet sigh. The shimmering glow dimmed, becoming a soft pulse instead of a flare. The figure beneath the surface lowered its arm. Its outline dissolved into the pale light. Its presence faded back into the chamber. The voice echoed once more, a final call that carried both gratitude and warning, and then the sound faded into silence. Aaron leaned closer, expecting another rising tremor. Another pulse. Another call. But there was nothing, only stillness. Soft, warm, calm. He touched the soil. It felt moist beneath the surface. Fresh, alive. A small drop of water seeped upward through a hairline crack. It clung to the surface for a moment, glowing faintly in the lingering light, before sinking back into the earth like a blessing returned to its source. Aaron let out a long breath he had held without realizing it. His fear slowly uncurled. Relief spread through his chest. The dryness that had gripped the land for so long seemed to loosen, as though the earth itself had found the strength to breathe again. The villagers would need to know. They would gather here. They would listen to the tale. They would see the proof that the hidden springs still lived beneath the valley. And they would understand that something had guarded them. Something ancient. Something that called out only when the land reached the edge of despair. Aaron stood and took one last look at the quiet field. The crack had begun to close on its own. The glow below dimmed until it was almost invisible. The soil pressed together gently, leaving only a faint line where the opening had been. The voice did not return, but the memory of its sound remained within him, a reminder of the deep connection between the valley and what slept beneath it. A warning that the drought was not just a failure of nature. A message that the land was telling its own story, if someone cared enough to listen. Aaron turned toward the village. The silence felt different now. Not empty, not fearful, filled with anticipation. He took a slow breath of the warm, dust-laced air. For the first time in months, he sensed change. Not the promise of rain. Not yet, but the beginning of something that could save the valley again. He walked home with the memory of the underground voice echoing softly inside him. A secret returned to the surface. A warning carried by the earth itself. A reminder that the drought would end, but only if they respected what lay beneath the fields waiting for rain.